an attempt on an officer, a shooting at an officer. This is a carjack suspect. We believe this is tied to an officer-involved shooting where this suspect shot at officers. Now this vehicle was carjacked just moments ago. Look at that, brakes, hard on the brakes there, smoking the tires, lights are out, and the Long Beach police in pursuit of this vehicle right now. Nice job, dude. Long Beach PD, this is very close to the shooting scene where the Long Beach officer was shot at by a suspect. Then a short time later, a carjacking occurred a couple blocks away, and now units got behind the vehicle that was carjacked, and now the car took off on them, blacked out, high rates of speeds here. Again, this is an armed and dangerous suspect that carjacked this vehicle just a few minutes ago. Junipero, crossing Junipero now. Come on, man. Setting up for a right-hand turn. Let's see if he bails out here. Nope, that unit's right on top of him, so there's not going to be a foot bail yet. But now he's turning in the direction of the ocean at a high rate of speed through this residential area. Very dangerous situation for officers and the people in this area. They have some cross traffic here. He's going to make right turn on 7th Street, right in front of a vehicle there. There's Junipero. He's now westbound. News Chopper 4, we're the only ones on it. Here he goes, wrong side of the road. Dangerous situation. Look at the cars diving out of the way. Through Cherry. Oh, come on, map. Oh, just almost hit that car right there. Just nicking him maybe. Maybe took off his mirror. It's hard to say, but that was a really close call. And I have no IFB right now. Green light at orange, wrong side of the road. Look at that. Okay, I got it now. Yeah, it's just off right now. There it is. Coming up on Alamitos. I need this map to work. Right turn into a gas station, an Arco gas station. Let's see what he does here. Might bail out. Oh, look at this. He's got a person on a bicycle. Not a good situation for that person there. That man is armed in that vehicle. People jumping out there, out of the way off the sidewalk. He's going onto the sidewalk. A very dangerous situation. Kind of stopped there. Look at, he's got his hands out. Okay, he's given up. Hands out of the window. But we got people in the way. We can hear that the people trying to scramble out of the way. There was someone on a bicycle. Look at that. That person that came around the corner may have been struck by the car. There's a bicycle down on the ground. Long Beach PD officers surrounding the vehicle that pulled up onto the sidewalk here. This is 7th Street. I'll try to get the cross for you. Where's the cross street? I'm sorry, this is a fluid situation that has just developed here. I can tell you that, sorry, I got a little bit of static working on one of the radios, but I can tell you that this is a carjacking suspect that is maybe might be involved in a shooting with a Long Beach police officer just a short time ago at Anaheim and Temple. Then a few minutes after that shooting, this carjacking suspect took a car by gunpoint and fled the scene. Now officers were able to track the vehicle down and they went into pursuit. It just ended right now on a sidewalk here off of 7th Street. I don't have the cross street as of yet, but you can see the suspect on the curb there and his hands out the window talking to officers. I'll come out to a wider shot so you can see what's going on. A lot of officers swarming the area. Now in that shooting of that involving the officer, There was a fight that ensued with the suspect. The suspect pulled out a firearm and shot at the officer, but the officer was not struck. That person fled the scene, and a perimeter was set up around Anaheim and Temple. Then a short time later, that person, or the suspect, carjacked this vehicle at gunpoint and fled the scene. That's when the Long Beach PD officers caught sight of the vehicle and started pursuing it. The guy had his lights blacked out. He was in a high-speed chase on surface streets and ended up in this Arco gas station, pulling onto the sidewalk here and striking someone on a bicycle. That person fled the scene, fortunately, but now he's giving up here as he's talking to the officers. He's not yet yielding to the officers' commands. He's just kind of sitting there with his hands out the window, but you can see all the officers with their guns drawn in this intersection. A very dangerous situation for sure, but again, a carjacking suspect that took this car by gunpoint and might be related to a shooting just a few minutes ago in the area of Anaheim and Temple. Darn it. Gosh, darn it. Tell him under 30 seconds, thank you. That radio killed me. The 161. Gosh. Just stamped it. Oh, look at this. He's starting to roll away a little bit. There comes the SWAT team right up against him, right ahead of him, pushing the car backwards there. So the SWAT team not messing around with this guy. They saw him move and they pulled right into position onto that sidewalk. All right, we're now hearing that the suspect momentarily had the gun out. He put it to his head, but now he's put the gun back down inside the car. Now he's blocked in. There's no way he's going to escape. They might try to move in on this guy right now. Both hands out the windows, his gun in the car. He's on Martin Luther King Jr., just north of 7th Street. Door's opening. He's opening the door. They might move in on him right now. It looks like he might be complying with officers, but again, a very dangerous situation because he still has a gun inside that vehicle. They may move in right now. Let's see. Door almost all the way open. He's complying. He's got his hands up. Now they're down. He's not complying. He's got his hands folded under his arms. Oh, they just hit him with the less than lethal. Hit him with the less than lethal round. They're going to move in on him. They can't see his hands, though they're concerned about moving in, but they just... Simon Des, Jack from Gill. Were you trying to reach me? I got some info for you. They believe this guy is involved with the officer-involved fight and the shooting at the officer. He matches the description, and they just shot him with that less than lethal round. What did you have? Well, for those of you joining us on the NBC LA app, you're looking at the city of Long Beach. This is Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard at 7th Street. An armed carjacking suspect is now surrounded by the police and the SWAT team out here after this person stole this car by gunpoint after fighting with officers at Anaheim and Temple a short time before this car was taken. It was taken from the 1600 block of Stanton Place, and officers were able to locate the vehicle on surface streets a short distance away from that scene of the fight with the officer. Now, the good news is there was no officers injured during that fight. A gun went off. In fact, the suspect's gun discharged during the fight with that officer, and then the suspect fled the scene. Fortunately, that officer was uninjured and was taken to local hospital to be evaluated, but again, he was not injured. But in the meantime, the suspect stole this car at gunpoint, and shortly after that, Long Beach police went into pursuit. They found the vehicle. The car was blacked out and was going at high speeds on surface streets. Ended up here at Alamitos and 7th Street when he pulled through the Arco gas station here. I'll zoom out so you can get a perspective of that. You can see the response by the Long Beach Police Department. Again, this fight broke out a short distance from where the car was taken by gunpoint. That's the Arco at the right-hand side of your screen. Now, when he came into that Arco, he pulled down this sidewalk. He came down the driveway as if he was going to exit, but he turned down the sidewalk. When he did so, there was a person on a bicycle that was struck by the vehicle. That person seemed to be uninjured and ran off as officers pulled in behind the vehicle, and that's when they went into a standoff situation with the suspect, who had his arms out the window, was pretty angry and yelling at officers, pounding on the car door, and at one point he pulled the gun out and put it to his head, but quickly put that back into the car. Now, we understand that the gun is in the door pocket right next to the suspect. Now, when that suspect came out, it looked like he was going to comply with officers, but then he folded his hands under his arms as if to say, I'm not going to move, I'm not going to do what you say. And shortly after that, he was struck by a less than lethal weapon, either a beanbag or a rubber bullet. That took him to the ground there, and it looked like he was apparently knocked out. His eyes were closed, he was breathing, but he kind of curled up alongside the door and the door jamb of the vehicle. But now we're hearing that the officers can see that he's breathing, he's conscious, and they're giving him orders to surrender. But at this point, he's just staying in that semi-fetal position. And they do have a couple of canine officers with their dogs on scene here that they're going to try to make an approach on this suspect and finally get him into custody. But the concern again for officers is that gun that he was armed with. The suspect's gun is in that door pocket right next to him. So fortunately, his arms are turned away from that door pocket, but that's the concern for officers. They don't want him to move towards that gun at all. And there goes the gun. There goes the dog. He's moving in. So we're going to see the one canine coming in. They got his leg, and they're gonna pull, that dog's gonna pull that suspect away from the vehicle. It looks like he's just laying there. He's kind of not complying, but look at this. His hands are down. He's trying not to get bit. We're hearing the officers calling this, and now he's rolling away from the door. That's a good sign. He's putting his hands behind his back, and the dog, look at the dog work him. He's pulling the suspect away from the car. Wow, look at that move. All the way away from the door. And now we're going to see the officers move in shortly to take him into custody. I'm hearing the officers talking about moving in. He's definitely on the ground. They're lighting him up. Here comes the SWAT team to move in and make the arrest on him, but they're being very cautious because they can't see his hands. His hands, one arm is under him, the other one is tucked in under his stomach area, but there they go. They're all moving in tightly, and this will be the end of this dramatic situation here. This is happening in the 700 block of Martin Luther King Jr. and 7th Street. They're going to clear the car, and at this point, the suspect is now in custody and will be taken to a local hospital. Copy, Jack, copy. Well, good news, the man is now in custody. All officers accounted for, uninjured, and this very dramatic situation has come to an end at 7th and Martin Luther King Jr. That's the latest here in News Chopper 4 for my pilot, Alex Street, and this is Gil Levis signing off. We are clear.
Oh, no!
We have a suspect running. Oh, this is going to be close.
To watch more heart-stopping car chases happening across Southern California, subscribe here. Thanks for watching. The chase is on.